Welcome back. Infighting among members of the Zulu Royal Household has presented a challenge to government, and according to the Kwazulu-Natal Premier, Sihle Zikalala, who spoke at the weekend, the coronation of King Misuzulu KaZwelithini is now in the hands of President Cyril Ramaphosa. He says the coronation will be done after the president exhausts all the processes that are involved. Well, King Misuzulu's kingship was in dispute until last week when a judge ruled that two princesses from the family cannot halt his coronation. The two half-sisters of the king have claimed that his ascension to the throne is based on the will of the late King Goodwill Zwelithini, which they are disputing as fraudulent. But Pietermaritzburg High Court Judge Isaac Madondo said while the assets were still in dispute, the succession issue was separate and the king is the undisputed successor to the throne. To discuss, we're now joined by Dr. VVM Mkhize, who is the founder and chair of the Umsamo Institute. Doctor, thank you for being with us. Firstly, before the court ruled, many declared him king, including the Prime Minister of the Zulu nation, Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Have you always considered Misuzulu as king?
Thank you so much, and thank you very much to your listeners. Sorry for that. I think there's a problem there. Thank you so much, and greetings to our listeners. Yes, in all and in most of my interviews with all the media houses, since the beginning, I have been maintaining, and I maintained that because of the tradition of how Misuzulu's mother was actually brought as the queen, therefore, he's the only one who qualifies to be the leader and to be the Isilo and the king of the Zulu nation.
And is this a strong judgment in support of what you're saying? Because the judge, as far as I understand, was saying even if there wasn't a will from King Goodwill Zwelithini, Misuzulu KaZwelithini is still the rightful king according to cultural norms. So that almost takes the contentious or contested will out of the picture.
Definitely. You see, first of all, there are three things here. The first one is that there was no case. There was no need for the whole thing to be challenged. The second one was that it's unfortunate that we have lost our culture, tradition, values, and norms in terms of who is supposed to be a king, which is not even supposed to be argued and be challenged. The third one is that people who were actually challenging and who were putting the challenge, trying to stop him to become a king, were people who were not supposed to do that. Because in our culture and tradition, I've been saying this many a time, you cannot go out as a married woman and then you come back and then you think that you still discuss things which belongs to your family, because you have already been taken out of the family. You are already married, so you are out.
Well, at least now the courts and those cultural norms, as it were, are in agreement. Otherwise, that would have created a problem for government. The question now is, should he be formally recognized by the president? Why is that taking so long? They're talking about exhaustive processes. Is that the wise thing for the president to do, to wait, because there may be appeals in the court process?
There's something very interesting here of which I think the whole nation, I must actually tell them about, maybe of which they might not know. King Misuzulu will be the second king, if ever Ramaphosa does that, to be coronated and be given a certificate at the same time. Because his father was coronated, and on the very same day, he was given a certificate. Why am I saying that? Because all the kings before King Zwelithini, the forefathers, the grandfathers, and so on, when they were coronated, taken into the Isibaya, and thereafter the letter followed later. Now, we don't know what actually Ramaphosa will do, but here is the procedure that is going to be followed, which is traditional and customary, is that whether Ramaphosa is saying when he's going to give the certificate, but the first thing is that the council will have to take the king to the crown. Ayongeniswa esibayeni. That is the first traditional thing, where there will be amabutho, amakhosi, and so on. In other words, that will be the coronation. The coronation is not just something that is done in the tent, in the hall. No, he must be taken to the crown, aye esibayeni, and he will be given all the weapons, the weapons of his own father. And then they will say, here are his Izikali, and so on. And thereafter, it will depend whether the premier, which is Sihle Zikalala, on the very same day, will be sent by Ramaphosa, or President Ramaphosa will be present himself to present the certificate, or maybe the certificate will come later. It will be the decision. But the whole family, then the Undunankulu, and also the Undlunkulu, the queens, must also be there on that particular day. So these are two separate issues. Taking him to the crown, on the other hand, getting now the certificate which is coming from the president's office of South Africa.
And can we just clarify what that certificate is all about and the role of the president? He doesn't declare kings on behalf of the Zulu nation. He can't solve this dispute. But whoever he gives the certificate to as king will receive the state benefits due to a king. Is that correct? Is that why this is so important?
Yes, definitely. The certificate is where it is said that by the country, by the government of the country, so that he also gets endorsed by the international world, he must get that certificate. It's like, for instance, where you have passed a degree and now you get a certificate, but even if you don't have a certificate, you have acquired the knowledge. So the certificate is not the thing which can make him to be a king. What will make him to be the king is to be taken into the crown and all the rituals be performed. But because we are living now in the new world, there must be a certificate which will make him, one, to qualify for all the government benefits. Two, you remember that his father used to open the parliament in Kwazulu-Natal, and also depending on the legislature of the Kwazulu-Natal parliament, and also the premier of Kwazulu-Natal, Sihle Zikalala, it will make him to qualify for such things as well, and also for whatever he is requesting in future.
All right, so right now we don't have a timeline. My final question to you, King Zwelithini delivered a speech recently, and he spoke about challenges within the royal family before the Battle of Dwana. So he said that they could actually put their differences aside. It had been done before that battle. Is that an olive branch to the rest of the family, and do you think that this family can come together and talk?
Thank you very much for that. I was going to talk about that. First of all, the question now that we are sitting with is, I've been asking some of the elders, like Philemon of Kwafihlinqindi, what's going to happen now, particularly about who is going to be the queen mother. Remember that the king used to do all his performances at his isigodlo enyokeni, and enyokeni used to be used as umuzi of the traditions, amasiko. But now the king, as he's going to be coronated, he will have to go and stay at KwaKhangela. Now, whether he stays at KwaKhangela or he comes to enyokeni, the challenge will be, who is now going to be his queen mother? Well, if you look properly into who is supposed to be that, it will depend. Others are saying it must be Queen Mafu because of the Swazi royal blood. But others are actually saying, no, how can that happen? So that is another challenge, dynamics that are actually going to happen. I think here now, all the queens will have to come and sit down and say, this is what we are agreeing upon. Because remember, even his mother, there was a problem between his mother and his father even before the king died. So all that needs to be sorted out. Others are talking about cleansing. Others are talking about certain ritual to be performed. before the whole process is actually being done. So I'm just trying to highlight that we are going to sit with a number of problems as far as who is going to be the Queen Mother and where is it going to stay, Kwakangela or at Enyogeni.
All right, thank you so much. We have to leave it there so that coronation starts standing, but the courts have declared who is king. Dr. VVO Mkhize, founder and chair of the Umsamo